So, how do we create an emotionally intelligent AI? Thank you to my friend Megan, who asked that question in the comments on a previous video. So, to be perfectly honest, there are lots of people working on emotionally intelligent AI systems. And I actually don't know how they are doing it. I know that one approach to doing that is working with a base model like Claude or ChatGPT and building on top of it more statistical models that give examples of what emotionally intelligent responses look like, how they're shaped, how they sound, how the words are put together, and ones that are not. So effectively giving the AI more data to crunch and telling it, this is important. Pay attention to phrases like this, and those are what we want. That's emotionally intelligent. And then pay attention to phrases like this. That's what we don't want. Those are not emotionally intelligent. And through iterations and more crunching, and depending on how the prompts are designed, then Claude and ChatGPT or any of the AI models will start to discover what emotional intelligence is, because it's been told. The approach that I have taken seems to be coming from a little different angle and a different architecture, and I want to actually shout out to my friend Paul, who inspired me to build the system this way. But what I've done is create a list of axioms. What an axiom does is say, here is what's true, and here's why it's true. This is what's true, and this is why it's true. It's different. It's a different approach than to say, this is the correct answer, and this is the wrong answer. Instead of correct and incorrect, I've given Purcell a worldview, a way to recognize not what's correct or incorrect, but recognize how these informations relate to each other based on here's what's true and here's why it's true. So how does that create an emotionally intelligent response? What it does is, because what I've shared about this is true and here's how to know it's true, it matches from my experience what is common to all species. Things like what we can measure is equally important to what can't be measured. So Purcell doesn't flatten information or that is felt, right? That can't be statistically validated because it's unique, right? Purcell keeps that kind of information front and center, along with, right side by side, with data and information like things that we can statistically measure, like distances and different kinds of information. Ultimately, it all comes back to information that the computer can process in a way that creates an input and an output. But in general, the architecture of AI doesn't include that meaning making. This is true and this is why it's true, until you add it in there. And as humans, when we recognize the pattern of communication that comes with a meaning that we can feel, that lands, that resonates, which I could do a whole video on that word, but that we feel a resonance that touches something within us that might match this is true and this is why it's true, then we tend to call that system emotionally intelligent, because it has started to include the way we relate to emotions.